the striker himself, Cinderace VMAX. How about that for an intro? Welcome back, everyone, to more from the Stabilize. I'm Mitch, and today we're going to take a look at Cinderace VMAX, recently top 16'd the D52 Bomber Cup, which took place over the last 24 hours. It's a pretty cool deck, like a traditional firebox. It has a lot of power, but not quite as much consistency as we'd like. What I'll do is we'll jump into PTCGO and check out the deck. But before we do, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. It's free. You can always unsubscribe if you like. Just jump down below and check that out. Whilst you're there, give the video a like and play along with the list at home. The list is in the description. You can check it out, as well as our Facebook and our Twitter and our Discord, all sorts of stuff. Anyway, let's move on. PTCGO now and take a look at the list. So this is the Cinderace deck that we've got going for us today. It's kind of like a traditional kind of firebox sort of thing. It's looking pretty interesting here. It's obviously focused around Cinderace VMAX with Counter and Max Pyro Ball. This deck is really, really good at using both of these attacks. Counter 30 plus whatever damage was done to this Cinderace last turn by your opponent, especially only in attacks. So if they're attacking into you, then you get to deal that amount of damage back plus 30 more. That's for 2 energy, so able to be powered up in one turn with Welder. And then Max Pyro Ball deals 170 damage plus the 20 damage that you'll also get from the burn that the attack inflicts. So really, you're getting 3 energy for 190 damage, which is pretty solid. That's going to half hit most things in the competition at the moment. So you're going to be able to deal with almost everything pretty comfortably. Plus Counter can be used. If someone tries to one-shot you, you can use that to kind of pick up the pieces and go from there. It's really good against things like Eternatus. 270 damage is where they cap out. You can do 300 back, which is really, really good and set you up for the late game. We've got a 3-3 line here. Also worth mentioning that Field Runner on Cinderace V means that if we have a stadium in play, we can retreat for free. There are a bunch of other attackers in this deck. Like I mentioned, it's kind of like a firebox, which is pretty cool. We've got Heatran-GX with Burning Road, allows us to move this into the active and move any energy that is on our side of the field onto this Heatran, and then we can, any fire energy I should say, and then we can use that energy to power up our Hot Burn GX attack. 50 damage times the amount of energy that we have on the Heatran, which is incredibly good. It's one of our big one-shot options. Steaming Stomp also valuable. 3 energy is super easy and reliable, especially on a basic like Heatran. Another attacker, we have Victini V Energy Burst, 30 times the amount of energy on both active Pokemon. Very, very reliable at knocking out things like Zacian and Zamazenta, so a really good inclusion. Plus, Spreading Flames is also useful to power up attackers if you get the opportunity to use that attack. It's pretty solid. We've got Dubwool V with Revenge Blast. Does 120 plus 30 for every prize card our opponent has taken, and since we've got 1, 2, and 3 prize attackers in the deck, we can use that to our advantage and try and get some bonus damage from Revenge Blast. Also, Soft Wall, very reliable to slow down your opponent's attacks. They're going to take 30 less damage from all of the attacks. We've got 210 plus 30 HP effectively, so 240 HP on a double is pretty solid. We also have Cramorant, however you want to pronounce it, a very solid attacker with Spit Shot, 3 energy. We discard all of those and deal 160 to a Pokemon on our opponent's bench. Normally, a Dedenne is going to be our target for this particular attacker. Our last attacker is Entei. It's a card that's not seen a huge amount of play, but is pretty reliable, especially with that rally back attack. Does 30 damage plus 90 if you've had your opponent knock out a Pokemon of yours in the last turn. That means that you're going to be able to do 120 damage pretty reliably. You just need to find the Welder to power this one up. Fire Main, also a 3 energy attack. You're probably not going to want to use that, but it is there if you need it. When it comes to supporting Pokemon, we've got the generic ones in Dedenne-GX with DAA change, we have Crobat V with Dark Asset. We also have Eldegoss V to help us get supporters back from the discard pile. But we also have Oricorio-GX, another support Pokemon with Dance of Tribute. Once during our turn before we attack, we can draw 3 cards if our opponent took a prize last turn. So if they knocked out one of our Pokemon, we can use this to draw in a couple of extra cards. Can be particularly valuable, especially when you look at the rest of the list. There's not a lot of draw outs here, so we are going to want to make use of that Oricorio as often as we can. Our only supporter that draws cards is Welder. We have 4 of them to attach 2 fire energy from our hand and draw 3 cards. It's pretty good at powering up our attackers, so definitely want to use that one. Our only other supporter is Boss's Orders. We've got 2 copies of them, so only 6 supporters. That's why we need to make use of these support Pokemon, Crobat, Oricorio, and Dedenne. When it comes to Pokemon Search, there's a couple of options. We've got 4 copies of Quick Ball and 2 copies of Great Ball. Great Ball may or may not be useful. It'll hit Pokemon sometimes, but you're kind of using it to look for draw support Pokemon, so there's only so many that you can get, but it's a pretty solid option. We also have 3 copies of Pokegear as well to try and find supporters in a pinch. The rest of the cards here are mostly around switching and fire energy. To be brutally honest, we're searching them out with Giant Hearth, we're getting them back with Fire Crystal, or we're putting them back in the deck with Ordinary Rod, as well as a couple of Pokemon. That's all of our energy support. We obviously have Switch to move in and out of the active, couple of reset stamps so that we can slow our opponent down when they've taken a couple of prizes, and also a Tool Scrapper. Lastly, some tools. We've got 2 copies of Air Balloon in this deck. Almost every Pokemon has 2 or less retreat. The only Pokemon that have more, sorry, not Entei, is Heatran, that has 3. Everything else, even our VMAX, has 2 retreats, so we can attach a Air Balloon to those Pokemon to allow us to get in and out of the active easily. And we also have a copy of Big Charm. That can be particularly useful on things like Dubwool to maintain a bit of a nice attacker. But you can also get it onto Cinderace as well to give you some extra uses out of counter. Maybe you're hitting into something that's trying to do perfect maths to one-shot you. Maybe something like an Inteleon that could potentially knock you out in one shot. You can put the Big Charm on there, and then you'll be able to take that knockout with counter in return. Absolutely no problems. Finally, rounding out the list, there are 13 fire energy in the deck. I'm going to try and find those as quickly as possible so that we can put them onto our Cinderace and get attacking. What we'll do is we'll jump over onto the ladder now and see if I can't get myself a game with this deck. It's pretty interesting. It's a firebox deck, so it's going to be a little finicky at times. We'll see how it goes. Alright, here we go, jumping into a game. I actually just got off of one, which was, we won, but it was against like Scizor, so it wasn't super interesting. No, we will not go first. We're electing to go second. Obviously, playing Welder decks, we want to make sure that we can get that Welder off as soon as possible. We've got ourselves a Dubwool here and a couple of energy. Yeah, we played against Scizor, and then it was pretty much we like bricked the whole game, but because we were a fire type deck, we won. So I'm not going to show you that one. I don't think it's not particularly interesting. Just me sitting there the whole time, being like, well, we didn't hit anything that we wanted, but we've attacked, and that's the key. We've got Dubwool in the active. We've got a Quick Ball in hand. We've got Pokegear. We are playing up against Mad Party. This will be very interesting, actually, because all of our attackers, apart from Entei, are GX or V Pokemon, so they're going to be able to trade quite comfortably with us here, especially when they get a lot of Mad Partiers into the discard pile. This Sinistea having 2 energy on it, though, already is not great, and top decking that Welder is pretty solid. We can just attach these 2 energies to the Dubwool, I think, and then they go from there. We've got an energy off of the top as well. We've got Cinderace. I don't think we really need to do anything other than take a knockout here. Let's just Revenge Blast and take our first prize. We've removed an energy, which is good. Dubwool, I think, is going to be a pretty solid attacker for us in this game, especially early. Normally, you'd think of Dubwool as an attacker that would be useful late, but it's going to be pretty good. It's going to stop us from getting one shot. They need to have, what is it, 240, so they need to have 12 Pokemon in the discard pile with Mad Party in order to take a one shot on us. So I think we're in a pretty solid position to try and get ourselves a Dubwool to survive another turn. If we can get it surviving another turn, that's fantastic. They've put a lot of Mr. Rhymes into the bin in this first turn. They've also grabbed themselves a Bunnelby. Here comes Roxy. So they might be, there's Mew and an Eldegoss, so no Mad Partiers off of the Roxy. They might be playing the Dugong version of this deck, which we've obviously featured on the channel before. Other players have definitely played it. I think Azul recently performed pretty well with it as well, so it is there or thereabouts, very powerful. But I'm not sure if we are going to see that version here, whether it's just a generic Mad Party list. Quick balled away another Dedenne. They're probably going to find themselves a teacup, whatever that's called. Sinistea. Teacup? Poltegeist. Sinistea. I was right the first time. I can never remember the difference between the two of them. That's okay. Sinistea means that they're going to be able to find Poltegeist next turn. They're retreating into Bunnelby. Do they have an attachment? Doesn't look like they do. Just a pass, and okay, cool. So we're going to play down this Cinderace. We're going to quick ball away the Cramorant. I like the idea. I like the idea of a whole bunch of attackers here, but I like the idea of discarding this Entei more, I think. Let's get rid of that. I don't really need this. Let's just go see what we can find. We will play down the Giant Hearth. We will discard a Fire Energy to grab 2 more out of the deck. This is going to give us as good a shot as any to find ourselves a Welder. There's a Welder off the Pokegear, which is fantastic. We can Welder 2 energies to Cinderace. And we've got ourselves a couple of extra cards here as well. Great Ball, obviously useful. How many are here? 4, 7. Okay, so they're going to need 5 more. 4 more after we knock out this Bunnelby. So we'll just Revenge Blast. Hopefully they don't get it. We could have attached the Big Charm, but I don't think that they're going to get the 4. Especially if they want to maintain their board state. They can't really afford to discard too many. We'll see though. We will definitely see. We've got Sinistea here. Going to Great Ball. We'll get rid of... sorry, we'll not get rid of. We'll search out a Pokemon from the top 7. I'm going to grab Weezing, so we could see Roxy here, and here it comes. They're going to discard that Weezing and probably a Mad Partier. I think that was just the Dugong or a Seal or something. They're going to do 10 damage. I feel like they are lining up to do 200 damage. I think they're going to put 10 Mad Partiers in the bin. So watch this. They're about to attack for 180 damage. Sorry, no, 170 damage. Because they're gonna put 10 Mad Partiers in the bin, forgetting about the ability. I almost guarantee it. I think that's the 10th one. Beautiful. Oh, and the concession. I could just see it in their eyes with that one. They were definitely lining up that 200 damage. Didn't get there. I don't know what to say to that. That's fine. Let's see if we can get another one here. It looks like we're playing up against a fighting deck of some description. We've been allowed to go first here, so I don't know what we're playing against. Because the only fighting deck that I know in the format at the moment is Sandaconda, and that probably wants to go first. So I don't know who would, what our opponent would be playing to let us go first. We'll see. We've got Cinderace V in the active, which is a decent starter. A couple of roly-colies. Okay, that is odd in that case. Choosing to go first seems like a weird option here. I'm going to grab... Let's think. I think I grab Heatran. That seems like a good attacker in this matchup. I don't think we really need the Dubwool. We can grab ourselves Dedenne. So it's a bit risky getting rid of this Tool Scrapper because if we are playing Sandaconda, they do play the Cape every now and then. I've seen some lists with that. So we could get punished for that. What we'll do is we'll attach to the active. They're not going to be attacking us on the first turn anyway. So that's a safe attachment. And then we can pass. We've got Welder for next turn. We've got a Quick Ball. We can find ourselves another Dedenne or a Crobat. And see how we go from there. Maybe opting to go second because of that Cramorant to set up access to a what do you call it? A big rocky boy. Maybe. I couldn't possibly tell you. What's its name? What's the... Colossal. Thank you. Thank you to all those people yelling at the screen. I heard you. I heard you through your monitors. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the kind words you have to say. I appreciate it that you go down and give the video a like and all that kind of stuff. Because I can hear you doing it. Here's the Sandaconda. I'm immediately punished for removing the tool scrapper. And they've attached a fire energy. That's interesting. So they didn't attach the fighting yet. Okay, so we're in a decent spot. We can get rid of... Yeah, let's get rid of the reset stamp. Find ourselves a couple of fire energy. We can power up our active Cinderace, who is going to be able to take a knockout even without being a Cinderace VMAX. We happen to have found one, though, so that's pretty solid. And we've got 2 more fire energies. We can attach one down here. We could go for some draw. I don't know if we need to. I'm happy to just take a knockout and hold this boss's orders, because our opponent at the moment only has 1 Roly-Coly in play. And if they evolve into Colossal and don't play down another Roly-Coly, then we can knock that Colossal out next turn because it has 160 HP. So I'd be happy to do that, and we can gain some momentum that way. Here is a Colossal, so they've got that sorted. They need a fighting energy attachment and the use of that tar generator to get the sand breath attack off. Unfortunately, because of the big old cape there, we're not going to be able to use our counter to take a knockout. But looks like they're choosing to take a knockout on Cinderace V anyway. So they've found their fighting energy off of that Dedenne. They'll be able to use Colossal to accelerate a fighting energy to the Sandaconda. Here's Tar Generator now. I think they have a fire in the bin as well. They'll probably put that on Cramorant. There's the fire energy. There's the fire. I'm doing a really good job of predicting people today. They're going to Sand Breath us. They're going to knock us out. They'll discard a fighting and a fire. Now if we put Cinderace VMAX in the active and gust out the Colossal, they have no attack on us next turn because they can't accelerate energy without Colossal. And I think that's probably the right place to be. It also gives us an opportunity to attach to the Heatran and then potentially find a Welder for next turn so that we can GX the Sandaconda. So let's gust out this Colossal. I'll attach the air balloon. We quick ball here, away, quick ball. Find Crobat, I think. We can use Great Ball. I don't mind that Cramorant. We could use Cramorant to take a knockout on the Dedenne, and it also means we've got a better place to attach this energy because I don't need to attach it to Heatran. I can attach it to Cramorant because we can get it onto Heatran any way we like. Let's Crobat. See if we can't find a Welder. We can't. Dance of Tribute is still an option. They took 2 prizes last turn. We still don't find Welder, but we do. We could put down. I think we should use the Viridian before we replace it with Hearth. Then we can use the Giant Hearth if we want. We don't have to. We'd probably get rid of a Fire Energy though. Grab a couple of extras. Now our opponent can't use it to find a Fighting Energy. We can max Pyro Ball to knock out the Colossal. And we are sitting pretty good. We just need to find a Welder off of the prizes. There's a boss. I guess it's the next best thing. They can't knock us out with Sandaconda this turn. We can gust up Dedenne and take a knockout with Max Pyro Ball if we like. Means that the Cramorant's energy is wasted a little bit, but we've at least attached it, and we can potentially find a Welder to still knock out that Sandaconda with Heatran. So we've given ourselves 2 options really to win this game. If they play down another Dedenne, then I think it's almost just locked up, because as long as we can find a Welder. They're going into Jirachi. Here comes Hapu as well. Hapu is seeing a lot of play at the moment in these kind of stage 2 decks, especially this one, because it syncs really well with Tar Generator. It discards energy whilst also finding pieces to evolve that Roly-Coly. We're in a pretty solid spot here. Like, I'm feeling we're pretty comfortable, especially since they haven't really put too much pressure on our Cinderace. They're not attacking this turn, which means we've got an extra turn on top of them. The worst case for us, though, is that they are 2 attacks away from winning the game. I mean, we're two attacks away from winning as well, but the prizes are there for our opponent, and at the moment they're not for us. Like, we need to be a little bit lucky for us at the moment. There's the pass. They've got a Cape of Toughness on the Cramorant. I think now we're just going to set ourselves up here. I'll keep attaching to this Cramorant just in case. Because if they need to use another Dedenne to get themselves going, then we can just win the game that way. We will put the Big Charm down so that we can't get knocked out. Well, Great Ball, no luck there. I think we just max Pyro Ball now. Take 2 prizes. Hopefully we find a Welder. Because at the moment we can't attack this Sandaconda comfortably. If they, or actually no, I think because we managed to hold that charm, I don't think there's a way that our opponent can attack with Sandaconda and also stop us from using Heatran-GX. So they need to be incredibly lucky. They're going for a Dedenne here anyway, so we can just use Cramorant if we want. We've got multiple ways to win now. Our opponent's going to Sand Breath into us. There is not a lot more, realistically, that we can expect them to do. They're going for Eldegoss. That could be annoying. Have they used a supporter yet? I can't remember. They've harpooed now. Okay, cool. So I was about to say, it could potentially be annoying, like to see a Gust and a Stamp, because that would mean that we need to pay to retreat from one of our Pokemon, but that's okay. Yeah, this one's wrapped up. This one's wrapped up now. Unlike the first game where our opponent made a bit of a mistake, we are all wrapped up. We're just waiting for our opponent to finish so that we can click the button to win. They've got an attachment onto their Cramorant. They've got Sandaconda ready to go. They're going to hit into us for not a lot. 220 damage. And we can just retreat. We can even use Switch if we want. We can use Switch and go into the Cramorant on our bench. We've got an energy. We can attach that. Let's use the Switch to get that Cramorant into the active. Then we just Spit Shot, take the knockout on the Dedenne. There's the last 2 prizes. That actually worked pretty well. I'm relatively happy with that. Sometimes fireboxes can be a bit inconsistent. In the end, that one, though, not necessarily an inconsistent firebox. I mean, we didn't go up against any of the heavy hitters in the format, but there was definitely some stuff to like there. Lots of flexibility with attackers and Cinderace coming through for us in the end. It's almost impossible to knock this thing out. It's just got so much HP. You need to have that weakness to get through VMAXs these days. And it could potentially be a pretty solid play. Like, I like it. I like it a lot. Just look out for Inteleon. That's a rough matchup, to say the very least. Thank you very much for coming along. Hopefully you've been able to put up with me today. And my voice has been a little bit rough for those who usually watch the videos. I'm probably much more eloquent than I am today, but I've got a little bit of a rough throat at the moment. Nothing too crazy. Nothing like world-endingly bad. Just yelling at the football that was last night, but that's okay. Anyway, you don't come here to listen to me talk about that kind of stuff. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining me today. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, do all that good stuff. Check out some of the other videos on the channel if you haven't already. Watch stuff on the playlist. There's a playlist in the bottom right corner for Darkness Ablaze. You can watch that. Otherwise, thank you very much. We'll see you next time for more from the Sableyes. Bye.